A great white shark, believed to be the largest in North America, has been spotted off the coast of Nova Scotia, weighing more than 3,500 pounds.
In late 2003, far beneath the surface of the waters off Western Australia, a research team began a routine study that would eventually challenge everything scientists thought they knew about one of the ocean's most feared predators. During their expedition, they captured a healthy female great white shark, approximately 9 feet in length. She was not yet fully mature, but she had already passed the most vulnerable stage of her life. She was powerful, active, and showing every sign of a thriving predator. She was feeding normally, moving confidently through the water, and there were no visible signs of disease, injury, or weakness. By every measurement the researchers could make, she was a perfectly healthy great white shark, an apex predator at the beginning of what should have been decades of dominance in the waters surrounding Australia. The researchers attached a sophisticated tracking tag to the shark, a device designed to follow her movements through the vast ocean environment. The tag was built to record a detailed picture of her life beneath the waves, collecting information about water temperature, diving depth, light levels, and the changing conditions around her as she traveled. After a predetermined period, the device would automatically detach from the shark, rise to the ocean's surface, and transmit the stored data through satellites above Earth. It was a proven technology, a standard method used by marine scientists to study animals that spend their lives beyond human reach. The team expected months of valuable information, a rare glimpse into the movements, habits, and survival strategies of a wild great white shark. But 4 months later, something unexpected happened. The tracking tag was found washed up on a beach. The shark was not. When researchers recovered the device and downloaded the stored information, they discovered a mystery hidden inside the data. For nearly 4 months, everything appeared completely normal. The shark had been swimming through the coastal waters where she had been released. She had been diving, traveling, and behaving like a healthy great white. The recorded temperatures matched the surrounding ocean environment, showing nothing unusual. Then, without warning, the data changed. The temperature readings suddenly jumped from approximately 46 degrees Fahrenheit to nearly 78 degrees Fahrenheit. At almost the same moment, the tag began recording a dramatic descent. The device that had been tracking the shark's movements near the surface plunged deeper and deeper into the ocean, eventually reaching a depth of nearly 1,900 feet. The temperature remained unusually high. The depth remained extreme. And then, after a period of time that matched what scientists would expect if the tag had passed through a digestive system, the device was released and eventually found its way back to shore. But the shark was gone. There was no body, no remains, no blood trail, no direct evidence of what had happened. The only record of the event was stored inside the small electronic device that had survived. Something had eaten her. Something had consumed a 9-foot great white shark, one of the most powerful predators in the ocean, and continued through its life as though nothing unusual had occurred. The data was undeniable. The explanation was not. For years, the strange case would remain one of the most fascinating mysteries in marine biology, forcing researchers to question long-held beliefs about the position of great white sharks at the top of the ocean's food chain. Great white sharks have always occupied a unique place in human imagination. They are the ultimate symbol of ocean predators, the creature most people picture when they hear the word apex predator. They have dominated documentaries, inspired fear in films, become the focus of conservation efforts, and built a reputation over generations as the rulers of the deep. And that reputation exists for a reason. Great whites are among the largest predatory fish on Earth. Adult females, which are significantly larger than males, can grow beyond 20 feet in length and weigh more than 4,000 pounds. Their jaws are lined with rows of serrated teeth designed to tear through flesh, allowing them to hunt some of the largest animals in the ocean. Their abilities are extraordinary. They can detect the electrical signals produced by the muscles of other animals. They can sense vibrations traveling through the water. They possess an incredible sense of smell, capable of detecting traces of blood across enormous distances. Every aspect of their biology is built around finding, pursuing, and capturing prey. They are fast, they are powerful, they are highly adapted hunters, and their lineage stretches back approximately 16 million years. For millions of years, great white sharks have survived dramatic changes in the planet's oceans. They endured shifting climates, changing ecosystems, and the disappearance of countless other species. Their evolutionary history is one of survival and adaptation. Because of this, scientists traditionally believed that adult great white sharks existed at the very top of the marine food chain. They were the hunters, not the hunted, the predators that consumed others but were rarely consumed themselves, the animals that had almost nothing to fear beneath the waves. But the data recovered from the Australian tracking tag suggested that this understanding was incomplete. A 9-foot great white shark, not a helpless juvenile, not a vulnerable young animal, but a powerful predator in her own right, had become prey. Something had killed her. Something had eaten her. The question that remained was simple, but extraordinary. What could possibly consume a great white shark? Researchers began examining every possibility carefully, searching for clues hidden within the final moments recorded by the tracking device. And the most important clue was the temperature change. When the tag recorded the sudden increase from 46 degrees Fahrenheit to 78 degrees Fahrenheit, scientists believed it was almost certainly detecting the internal body temperature of whatever had swallowed it. That single piece of information immediately eliminated most possible explanations. The majority of ocean creatures are ectothermic, meaning their body temperature is controlled by the surrounding water. A typical fish, squid, or cold-blooded marine animal would not create the kind of temperature increase recorded by the tag. Whatever had consumed the shark had to be something different, something capable of producing and maintaining significant internal heat. And that dramatically narrowed the list of possible predators. The vast majority of ocean creatures are ectothermic, meaning their body temperature is controlled by the environment around them. Their internal temperature rises and falls with the surrounding water. A typical fish that swallowed the tracking tag would not have produced the sudden temperature increase recorded in the data. A squid would not have produced it either. Even most sharks, despite being powerful and highly active hunters, are ectothermic. Their bodies do not generate enough internal heat to create the kind of temperature spike detected by the tag. The predator responsible had to be different. It had to be warm. This single clue dramatically reduced the number of possible suspects. Only a small number of marine animals are capable of maintaining body temperatures significantly higher than the surrounding ocean. Marine mammals such as whales, dolphins, and seals are warm-blooded, maintaining internal temperatures similar to land mammals. But there were also a few unusual exceptions within the shark family itself. Certain shark species, including great whites, possess a specialized circulatory adaptation known as rete mirabile, a complex network of blood vessels that allows them to conserve metabolic heat. This adaptation enables these sharks to maintain body temperatures higher than the cold waters they inhabit. giving them the energy and speed required to pursue fast-moving prey. The evidence was beginning to create a profile. The predator had to be warm enough to produce the temperature spike. It had to be large enough to consume a 9-foot great white shark, and it had to be capable of carrying the tag down nearly 1,900 feet beneath the ocean surface. The list of possible suspects was extremely short. The first theory to gain serious attention was one of the ocean's most intelligent and powerful hunters, the killer whale, orcas. Killer whales, scientifically known as orca, are apex predators in their own right. They are among the very few animals on Earth that have been documented successfully hunting and killing great white sharks. The evidence of orca predation on great whites is extensive. In the waters surrounding South Africa, 2 male orcas known as port and starboard became famous among researchers for their ability to hunt great white sharks. Their names came from the unusual collapse of their dorsal fins, one fin leaning toward the left, the other toward the right. Their hunting strategy is precise. The orcas approach great white sharks and force them into a vulnerable position by flipping them upside down. This triggers a phenomenon known as tonic immobility, a temporary state of paralysis that occurs in many shark species when they are inverted. Once the shark is immobilized, the orcas attack with remarkable precision. They do not usually consume the entire shark. They target one specific organ, the liver. For an orca, the great white shark's liver is the ultimate prize. A great white's liver can make up nearly 1/3 of its entire body weight. It is packed with oils and fats, including squalene, a compound that helps provide buoyancy and serves as a valuable energy source. It is one of the most nutrient-rich parts of the shark's body. The orcas take the liver and leave the rest behind. On beaches in South Africa, researchers have discovered the remains of great white sharks killed by port and starboard. The massive carcasses showed evidence of a highly controlled attack, clean openings where the liver had been removed, while much of the rest of the shark remained untouched. But the impact of orcas goes far beyond individual kills. Their presence can completely change the behavior of great white shark populations. Footage, empty shark aggregation areas, tracking maps showing shark movements changing. When killer whales enter an area, great white sharks often disappear. This behavior has been documented in South Africa, California, and other regions where the two species overlap. The sharks appear to detect the presence of orcas through sound, chemical signals, and other sensory mechanisms that scientists are still studying. Then they leave. They abandon feeding grounds they may have used for years. They avoid areas where they previously hunted, and they often do not return until the orcas have moved away. The reaction is immediate. The fear response is powerful. Great white sharks, the animals humans have long considered the ultimate ocean predators, are afraid of killer whales. Because of this, the orca theory initially seemed convincing. The pieces appeared to fit. Orcas are found in Australian waters. They are warm-blooded. Their bodies maintain temperatures much higher than the surrounding ocean, and they are capable of killing great white sharks. But when researchers examined the tracking data more closely, the details began to contradict the theory. The first problem was the way the shark appeared to have been consumed. Orcas do not typically swallow great white sharks whole. They usually remove the liver, sometimes other organs, and leave the rest of the carcass behind. But the tracking data told a different story. The tag remained submerged for an extended period, showing a pattern consistent with being inside a digestive system. If an orca had killed the shark, researchers expected the tag to be released much sooner. The second problem involved the diving behavior. The tag recorded a descent to nearly 1,900 feet, around 580 meters below the surface. While orcas are capable of deep dives, their attacks on great white sharks usually occur in shallower waters, where they can control the encounter and manipulate their prey. A deep descent after the attack did not match the typical behavior observed during orca hunting events. The third problem was the temperature itself. An orca's internal body temperature is usually around 97 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, similar to humans and other mammals. But the tag recorded a temperature of approximately 78 degrees Fahrenheit. It was warmer than the surrounding ocean, but it was significantly lower than scientists would expect if the tag had been inside an orca's body. And then there was one final problem. There was no evidence that orcas had been active in the area. Great white sharks usually react strongly when killer whales arrive. If orcas had been hunting in the region where the tagged shark disappeared, other sharks nearby should have shown signs of avoidance, but they did not. The surrounding sharks continued their normal movements. There was no mass departure, no sudden change in behavior, no indication that killer whales had entered the area. The orca theory was possible, but the evidence did not fully support it. So researchers turned their attention to another possibility, a predator that was even more unexpected, another shark. Because great whites were not the only sharks capable of maintaining elevated body temperatures. Several shark species possess the same heat-conserving adaptation, the rete mirabile, allowing them to remain warmer than the surrounding water. This group includes mako sharks, porbeagle sharks, and most importantly, other great white sharks. A great white shark's internal body temperature is typically around 25 to 27 degrees Fahrenheit, higher than the surrounding ocean. In water measuring 46 degrees Fahrenheit, a great white's internal temperature would be expected to reach approximately 71 to 73 degrees Fahrenheit. The recovered tag recorded 78 degrees Fahrenheit. The difference was small, but it was within the range scientists would expect from a large, active great white shark that had just experienced the intense physical effort of attacking and consuming a large meal. The temperature data was beginning to point toward a shocking possibility. The tag had not been inside a marine mammal. It had not been inside an orca. It may have been inside another great white shark. The depth data supported this idea as well. Great white sharks are capable of extraordinary dives. Researchers have recorded individuals reaching depths beyond 3,000 feet. A descent to 1,900 feet was well within the known capabilities of the species. The mystery was beginning to take a new shape. The creature that consumed the 9-foot great white may not have been an unknown monster from the deep. It may have been something far more familiar. A larger great white shark. The deep descent recorded by the tracking tag could have represented normal behavior for a large great white shark moving through its environment. These powerful predators are known to explore extreme depths, traveling far below the surface where sunlight disappears and pressure increases dramatically. But researchers also considered another possibility, that the dive was connected to the attack itself. The larger predator may have descended into deeper water after feeding, entering a quieter environment where digestion could continue undisturbed, away from competition and potential threats. The way the shark appeared to have been consumed also supported this theory. Unlike orcas, which carefully remove specific organs from their prey, a large shark attacking a smaller shark would have a very different feeding strategy. It could consume the prey whole or tear it apart in large pieces. In that scenario, the tracking tag would remain inside the predator's digestive system for an extended period before eventually passing through and being expelled. The evidence was beginning to align. The temperature, The depth, the feeding pattern, every clue pointed toward the same conclusion, and that conclusion was both logical and deeply unsettling. The 9-foot female great white shark had been eaten by another great white shark, a larger one, probably much larger. Cannibalism among sharks is not unknown. In fact, many shark species are opportunistic predators capable of consuming other sharks when the opportunity arises, including members of their own species. Some examples are far more extreme. Sand tiger sharks practice a form of cannibalism before they are even born. Inside the womb, developing embryos compete against one another, with the strongest consuming their weaker siblings before birth. This brutal survival strategy ensures that only the most dominant individuals make it to delivery. In many cases, only 1 or 2 pups survive. Other species display similar behaviors after birth. Large tiger sharks have been documented attacking and consuming smaller sharks from multiple species. Bull sharks, known for their aggression and ability to survive in both saltwater and freshwater environments, have also been observed attacking other sharks when conditions allow. But great white cannibalism has always been much harder to prove. Adult great whites exist in a rare position. They are so large, so powerful, and so dangerous that they have very few natural enemies. The idea that one great white could prey upon another challenged the traditional image of these sharks as solitary rulers of the ocean, predators that lived without fear and without meaningful threats. But the Australian tracking tag suggested that this image was incomplete. A 9-foot female great white shark, an impressive predator by any standard, had become a meal for something larger. Based on the information recorded by the tag, researchers estimated that the attacking shark was likely between 16 and 20 feet in length. A predator of that size would have been enormous. It could have weighed anywhere between 2,000 and 4,000 pounds. It would have possessed the size, strength, and power necessary to overpower the smaller shark. It could have consumed the 9-foot great white in a single attack or in large pieces, including the tracking device that later revealed the entire event. It could have carried that meal into the deep ocean, descending nearly 1,900 feet while digestion began. And it could have continued through the ocean exactly as it had before. Because from the perspective of the larger shark, nothing unusual had happened. A large predator had simply eaten a smaller predator. The food chain had worked exactly as it always does. The only unusual part was the small electronic device that recorded the event and eventually delivered the evidence back to scientists on land. The mystery became widely known through the documentary The Hunt for the Super Predator. The film followed the investigation, presenting the strange tracking data, the possible explanations, and the scientific debate surrounding the disappearance of the shark. And after examining all the evidence, researchers arrived at the explanation that remains the most widely accepted. A great white shark had been eaten by a larger great white shark. The super predator was not a hidden sea monster. It was not an unknown creature from the depths. It was not a prehistoric animal that had escaped detection for millions of years. It was something far more familiar. A larger great white shark doing what large predators have always done, hunting, surviving, and consuming whatever opportunities the ocean provides, including smaller members of its own species. But the importance of the case extended far beyond one shark and one unusual event. It changed the way scientists viewed the ocean itself. The ocean is not the simple hierarchy often portrayed in popular media. The food chain is not a straight ladder where every animal has a fixed position, with humans at the top, great whites below, and everything else arranged in predictable order. The reality is much more complicated. The ocean is a massive interconnected web, a constantly changing network of relationships where the same animal can be the predator in one encounter and the prey in another. A 9-foot great white shark is an apex predator when hunting seals, but that same shark can become vulnerable when a 20-foot great white enters the area. The categories are not permanent. The roles are not fixed. Everything depends on size, location, timing, and the unpredictable reality of encounters in the endless darkness of the deep ocean. The Australian case also revealed something else: how little we truly understand about great white shark behavior. For decades, scientists had studied this species. Researchers had tracked them, tagged them, photographed them, and analyzed their movements across oceans around the world. Great whites had been among the most famous marine animals on Earth. And yet, until the 2003 tracking data provided direct evidence, the possibility of great white cannibalism remained mostly theoretical. No scientist had witnessed it. No researcher had documented a large great white attacking and consuming a smaller one. The behavior had likely been happening for millions of years, hidden beneath the waves, far away from human observation. The evidence existed, but humans had no way to see it, until technology changed everything. The electronic tag provided a rare window into an event that otherwise would have disappeared forever. A shark vanished, a device survived, and the data revealed the story. This represents the new frontier of marine biology. Instead of relying only on direct observation, scientists can now reconstruct hidden events through technology, using data to understand behaviors that occur in places humans may never reach. The tagged shark from 2003 was only one individual among thousands of great whites living in Australian waters. From an ecological perspective, her death was not impossible or unnatural. Large predators die. Sometimes they are killed by larger predators. Sometimes they are defeated by disease, injury, or age. Sometimes they simply disappear, leaving no trace behind. What made this case extraordinary was not the fact that she died. It was the fact that her final moments were recorded. The tag preserved the evidence of the attack. The sudden temperature change as she entered another animal's digestive system. The deep descent into the darkness. The journey that revealed the identity of her killer. And because of that record, scientists could begin asking questions that had previously been impossible to answer. How common is great white cannibalism? Does it happen more frequently in certain regions or during specific seasons? Do larger great whites actively hunt smaller members of their own species? Or is cannibalism simply an opportunistic event, occurring when one shark happens to encounter another at the wrong moment? How does the possibility of being hunted by larger individuals influence the behavior of younger great whites? Do smaller sharks avoid areas occupied by larger ones? Do they change their diving patterns, their hunting routines, their movements through the ocean? These questions remain under investigation. Researchers continue deploying new tracking devices, collecting more information, and building a clearer picture of great white behavior across the planet. The answers will not come from one discovery. They will emerge slowly, piece by piece, from thousands of individual data points, each one representing a shark moving through an ocean that humanity is still only beginning to understand. And while the Australian shark mystery revealed a hidden side of great whites, another predator remains an important part of the story. The orcas. Even though killer whales were likely not responsible for the 2003 incident, their role as predators of great white sharks is undeniable. In South Africa, the evidence is clear. Port and starboard have killed multiple great whites,